Hello, this is Cullen Neal, Director of Player Development at Rice University. This is the Talking Grammar Podcast, episode 74.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeff Grammer with the Albuquerque Journal, and this is the Talking Grammar Podcast. We're on episode 74 now. I'm glad you're here, however you're watching or listening. Appreciate you for doing so. All these podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal Podcast Network, we appreciate you for listening and watching them, and all our content on abqjournal.com as well. Today's episode in this Thanksgiving week is a pretty unique one, and I'm very appreciative of Cullen Neal, the former Eldorado Eagle and former UNM Lobo, who certainly had an interesting time as a UNM Lobo. I know fans here have mixed feelings about the Craig Neal era. With former coaches, fans always have that. But with Cullen Neal, he was a player here. He was a local kid that graduated here and stayed home to play with the Lobos. I think the dynamic between father and son is what led some people to maybe sour on the Cullen Neal or Craig Neal experience, but it wasn't necessarily the player's fault. And Cullen Neal's basketball journey certainly is been a successful one. Not only does he have his degree through basketball, not only was he a state champion in high school at a local high school, he did play professionally for a couple years, and he is now starting his path down the coaching ranks. And I appreciate him for coming on, because his time here, including with media coverage, probably wasn't always the most favorable for a young man going through college and going through all that. So very much appreciate him for coming through and telling his story. I think you're going to enjoy listening to him talk about some of that and talk about life now as a dad, as a husband. He's got two little ones, and he is the video coordinator and player development director with the Rice Owls, who happen to be in Las Vegas this week. On Wednesday of this week, Rice and the UNM Lobos play each other in the Ball Dawgs Classic in Henderson, Nevada. Actually, not Las Vegas, but right outside of Las Vegas in Henderson. They'll be playing each other. So it was cool to catch up with Cullen on Thanksgiving week. Hope you enjoy it. Hope you enjoy all these podcasts as part of the Albuquerque Journal Podcast Network. All right, Cullen, welcome to the podcast. First of all, before anything else, man, thank you so much for doing this podcast. It's been a really long time since you and I have talked, obviously, and an awful lot has happened in your basketball journey since your time here in Albuquerque. But first of all, thank you for coming on, man.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
We're this week, the team I still cover, the UNM Lobos for the Albuquerque Journal, is playing in the Ball Dawgs Classic, and you are going to be out there because you are doing what now with the Rice Owls? What are you doing?
I am the Director of Player Development and Video Operations, so I do on-court workouts, and then I do the video stuff as well for the coaches.
Second year job, right? Second year with Rice?
This is my second year with Rice. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. It's been a great opportunity.
Coaching's what you want to do? Is that it? Is it the player development side? What is it that you want to do?
Coaching is what I want to do. Player development is something I really love. I really love to work with the guys hand in hand, individually. So obviously coaching is the end goal, but I feel like if you're a coach, you can work with the guys as well. So definitely be an assistant coach, and then maybe a head coach in the future is the final goal.
Very cool. I know you. Again, I'm going to walk through the basketball journey from Eldorado to Rice here in just a second. But catching people up that don't know, you are a married man and a father now. Is that correct?
That is correct. 5 years married, and I have a 2-year-old and a 6-month-old at home. Yes.
That's awesome, man. First of all, what did the married life do to change who you were? Did it change who you were at all?
Well, so I was very fortunate. My first year playing in Europe, my wife was playing in England. So I was in Poland and she was in England. So I was able to see her a lot. Like, we were able to bounce back and forth and see each other a lot. So I was very fortunate with that. And then the second year, she came over with me to Germany for a long period of time. And then when COVID hit, we decided as a family that it was time for me to get into coaching and hang it up, and then start having a family.
And you did 2 years professionally,
yeah,
right? You said Poland and Germany.
Yeah, 2 years professionally. I was actually in Germany when all of COVID happened, so I was probably one of the people on the first flight back to America. Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh, and what you said she was over there playing too, so she's a player? What
Yeah,
tell me your wife's name?
her name's Lauren Neal, or her maiden name's Lauren Holt. She played at Portland State and UC Riverside. She was a player as well. She's a good player. Yeah, basketball
Yeah.
background.
Who's a better basketball
Yeah,
who's the better basketball player, you or her?
that's an in-home argument. I mean, we're always going to argue that. I'll give it to her just to make her happy.
There we go.
Yep,
It's Thanksgiving, man. We're all in a good mood for
yep,
Thanksgiving
yep.
week. No problems at home when you answer like that. It surprises me when I think about this. Had Hugh on last week.
Mhm,
He's been gone for almost a decade. I Over the summer, Bryce came back and I talked to him because he did something at La Cueva. Man, it's been a decade since you graduated from Eldorado, and I'm just curious when you talk about sort of your playing days, how much of it goes all the way back to the high school days and talking about like I know it was a few years, but really the junior and senior year, the battle you and Bryce had, but the career you had at Eldorado is it's going to be hard to match for anybody. How often do you think about those high school days at Eldorado High School?
No, I cherish that. I cherish that. All my best friends are still my teammates that were on those teams. I can go with Chris Brazier, Tobin Brazier, Kane Martinez, Zach Lee. So all those guys I still talk to. We still have a relationship. Kane was on staff at University of Nevada with me for 2 years. So just going back, I really cherish all the moments I had with all those guys, and it honestly shaped who I am today.
So you go all the way back. You talk about the high school glory days, and you had some. I mean, some legit ones, obviously, player of the year, stuff like that. So, you obviously, as people here watching this, a lot of them are obviously going to be Lobo fans that still follow Lobo basketball. You become a Lobo, and I'm curious when you think back about that whirlwind kind of senior year for you. Steve Alford and the Alford family move on to UCLA at the end of that just great basketball season for the Lobos. Your dad gets the job. You make the decision. You had already been committed for a while to St. Mary's. The decision to come to UNM and what that time was like in your life and your family's life.
No, it was really tough decision. Coach Bennett was one of the first people that recruited me. I was real in touch. We became really good friends. He's really close with the family. Still talk to Coach Bennett to this day. Obviously, I ended up at St. Mary's in the end. But yeah, when we were deciding as a family, we just had to go through it and decide
Yeah.
what we thought was best. And I mean, playing for your dad, there not many people can say they did that. And through it all, those moments were amazing. Like, I look back and I'm just very thankful for everything.
Well, that freshman season, since you're playing, you're on a staff now, playing in Las Vegas this week. I remember from that freshman season, probably the highlight of your, or maybe your entire Lobo time with the University of New Mexico. But that freshman year, it, ironically enough, I mentioned I had Hugh on last week, but he's hurt. You guys are playing in Vegas against Marquette, and you get the starting nod with Hugh out, and you go off for 26 points against Marquette. Kind of
Mhm.
introduced yourself to the college basketball world a little bit as a freshman there at that MGM showcase game. And I'm curious how much you remember that 26-point game as a freshman.
Man, it's hard to remember. Like you said, it feels like so long ago. Like, everything feels so long ago. But I mean, yeah, just
Yeah.
credit to the team. Like, Marquette was a really good team at the time. I think they may have been NCAA tournament team. So I was, yeah, very fortunate to have a little, I guess you could say, a coming out party versus Marquette.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys had a pretty special team too. Obviously, Alex, Cam, Kendall, Hugh, all on that team as well. Didi, was that? I think Didi kind of replaced Tony in that starting lineup
Mhm.
that year, I believe.
Yep.
So you guys had a pretty good, obviously roster, an NCAA tournament team in that 2013-14 season. But then 2014-15, yeah, that was supposed to be the year you and Hugh Greenwood kind of take over Lobo basketball a little bit and you break 20 in the first two games and then sprain the ankle in the third game in Puerto Rico. How disappointing was what was supposed to be a pretty special second year with that ankle injury?
No, that was definitely unfortunate. That's one of the things I do really remember because I'm still affected with that till this day. My ankle's still sore sometimes, but
Really?
yeah, like my he was my roommate. Like, I was really excited to play with him, and the fact that I didn't get to play with him and all the other guys, that was really hard because I was trying to rehab, trying to come back, and it was just wasn't happening with my ankle. So it was unfortunate for me, but I mean, I think I was able to learn a lot just watching from the sidelines.
That year, obviously, we don't. I'm not looking for in this podcast to rehash all the bad necessarily, but there were a lot of people that started poking. I would say maybe the generous way to put it, about from where you sat on the bench to where you were going to be playing the following year when you came back. Things started to get pretty nasty, I would say, towards you and towards your dad a little bit in those next couple of years. I'm curious, as you look back on that, how much does that sour, if at all, your memories and your time as a Lobo basketball player? The way some of the critics, I'll say, kind of turned those your sophomore and your junior year, kind of turned and started really being nitpicky, I guess, about from where you sat on the bench to what shoes you were wearing and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the past is the past for me. I always try to move forward. I have no bad feelings towards New Mexico. I'm just thankful through it all. It made me the man I am today, and I'm fortunate. I think I've become a pretty good man, and I'm a good husband, a good father to both my kids. So yeah, through it all, it's all a learning process. You learn so much through everything, and yeah, I guess you could say I'm not gonna say I was fortunate, but uh, it helped me made me the man I am today.
Right. I mean, we all, I guess, even a sports writer, I guess, all of us have a different path, right?
Yeah.
And that was yours. That's where you are today is because of all that. Do you have any thoughts back on your time there? Any regrets or any? You said nothing but good memories and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, you went through more than an average player. Any regrets that you have from your 3 years as a Lobo basketball player?
No, you can't live your life with regrets. I'm thankful for all my teammates, all the coaching staff. I still talk to the coaching staff. Obviously, I talk to my father. Me and my father are still great. So
Yeah.
I'm just, yeah. Like I said, I have nothing. I have no quarrels at all. No quarrels.
Your move from UNM, and I do want to ask you. I should have asked you when you were talking about your family a little while ago. I want to ask you about Grandpa Noodles and how he is as a grandpa. And I imagine I can guess how your mom is probably just an absolutely in love with being a grandma. I'm
Mhm.
guessing, but I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
You go from your Lobo time, and when you decided to move on basketball wise, you go to Ole Miss, you go back to St. Mary's. For those that really only kind of focus on the Lobos, what was your basketball journey like after you left UNM? How would you describe those next two stops?
It's kind of a whirlwind. Times were short, both at both spots. I was 9 months for both places, but I was very lucky to play for two great coaches, Andy Kennedy and Randy Bennett. Um, yeah, the uh, uh, going to Ole Miss, I got to play in the SEC, so I got to play in the highest level of basketball. And going to St. Mary's, like
Right.
I played in the top 25 team for the entire year. So I had really good basketball experiences, and like to this day, same thing. I talked to both my teammates from both different teams a, a lot.
And obviously, I mean, you mentioned playing for St. Mary's. Obviously, Randy Bennett is, in my mind, still, one of the probably most underrated coaches in college basketball. And it's kind of weird because he's been good for a long time.
Mhm.
The team's had success. He's got a lot of wins racked up. So for the college basketball world to maybe not quite give him his due just yet is still sort of weird to me because he's been doing it at a pretty high level. But yeah, you got to play for two really good coaches after your UNM days.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was fortunate. Played for Andy Kennedy. He's at UAB now, so he's in the same conference as us. So I see him on a consistent basis. It's actually, I'll even go farther. My assistant coach at Ole Miss is now an assistant at FAU, who's now in the conference. So I get to
Okay.
see him as well. And then yeah, playing for Coach Bennett, great basketball mind. I was able to learn a lot offensively, defensively. It's interesting just the different dynamics that go into building a program and seeing how people do it, see how everything's different. Like uh, going from my dad to Ole Miss, that's different. Going from Ole Miss to St. Mary's, that was different. And even coaching, and then even with Coach Alford at UNR, and then Coach Perry, like they're all unique in their own ways.
Let's go through some of those coaches, and I'm curious how much you kind of take from each one with what you want to do with the career. If you want to get into coaching, I'm curious how Coach Cullen Neal, how much you take from. Let's go back to high school. Let's go with Coach Sanchez. How
Mhm.
much you take from Roy Sanchez to then Craig Neal. Like, what coaches are you molding your coaching, I guess, style after?
I consider Coach Sanchez a really, really good friend to me. He's always been super loyal. He's just so loving, and I'm very thankful through it all. He was always had my back no matter what, and yeah, like to this day I still talk to Coach Sanchez. He's my guy. He's my guy. He'll always be my guy. Um, with my dad, obviously, as my dad, things didn't work out the way they
Yeah.
wanted, but I think my dad is an unbelievable offensive mind. So I think he really knows what he's doing on the offensive side of the ball. So I always try to learn from him on that end. Um, and AK was it was really passionate. I'm really a huge fan of how he's I think he's mastered switching defenses. He's really good at doing multiple types of defenses to change it up on the opposing team. So that's something I could look forward to in the future. And then Coach Bennett, I just remember how much Coach Bennett hammer hone on the defensive end, and that's a huge key point for him. So I think it made me. I'm not saying other coaches didn't, but I think he made me realize like how important the defensive end really is to a team.
You then you did a grad. I think you did 2 years at Nevada,
Yeah,
right?
2
Or
years.
did you
Yep,
do just one?
2 years.
Okay, so you did 2 years in Nevada. I guess I'll ask with the working for Coach Alford too. I know your dad was there,
Mm.
but working with Coach Alford, what do you take from his coaching style, or is his coaching style and your dad's, when those two are clicking, working together? It did some special things here at New Mexico, obviously, and now they're starting to get things rolling this year. They look pretty good so far at Nevada. So, is it just they're so intertwined, or do you take something specific from Steve Alford?
Oh, they're just good friends. They just work really well together. I think people can see that. But with Coach Alford, it was nice because they gave me a GA job, and I was very lucky to have that because I was able to really. I was always around when Coach Alford was at New Mexico, but I don't think I ever really like tried to pay attention to everything, like the insides to everything, the way like, for example,
Like when
travel.
he's working?
Yeah, travel,
Yeah,
working. So like just to see how dedicated Coach Alford is to this passion and how much effort he puts into it and how much he cares about his players, I think that's something that it's important. He was very great to work for.
you worked with him and obviously your dad, as we've mentioned multiple
Mhm.
times. How how is it working and playing, now that you've done both, with your dad? I something I could never do. I'd never be able to work with a parent. I think we'd go at each other's throat way too much. Some people can do it and it works out wonderful. I'm curious now that you've done it on two different levels, both as a player and a couple years as a graduate assistant.
Yeah.
Is that something you would do again?
Yeah, definitely. I had a great experience in my time in Nevada, playing wise as well, but definitely a little more laid back when I was working for them than when I was playing for my dad.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was great because I've known my dad's offense or Coach Alford and my dad's offense, what they expect for a long time. So I was able to contribute in other ways, like I don't know, like keeping track of points per possession and stuff like that compared to the offense. So I kind of just
sure.
filled in nicely.
What did I guess so as far as this week goes, I know what you're doing with Rice, player development and video coordinator. This season, I think you guys are 1-2 going into Vegas this week.
Mhm.
What kind of program do you guys have this year, and what are you learning so far in year two, there at Rice with the Coach Para?
Yeah, played two very good teams. Played a Division three our first game and played two really good teams in Harvard and Texas. So hopefully we're looking to bounce back here this week. But no, Coach Perry is a great offensive mind. Never been in a system that was similar to his. So coming here, I had to learn new components and new basketball terminology and new details about an offense that I'm very thankful for. And like you mentioned earlier, what am I going to take from those coaches? Coach Perez is definitely someone I'll take offensively from because he's just such a great offensive mind.
Are you allowed to take offense from anybody other than your dad? I don't know, man. I thought if you're gonna pick some offense away from anybody, I thought the Noodles playbook was the only one that you could pick
I
from.
gotta learn from everybody. Everybody will help me be a better coach, and yeah, gotta take it all.
So it is pretty amazing. I mean, like again, for whatever anybody thinks of the past with your dad when he was coach and all that, I've never heard one person say anything other than as an offensive mind and some of the plays he could draw up, out of whether it be out of timeouts or some of the set plays and just some of the stuff when he's honed in on what he's fantastic at, which is drawing up some offensive plays.
Mhm.
There's not really a whole lot, that not a lot of people that I hear can argue are at the same level as what he can do when he's really honed in on it.
No, he's very quick-witted. He could come up with stuff very, very well, not come up with, but he has stuff ready in the back of his mind. He's very, very quick on that end to come up to find something, figure out how they're guarding, and find ways to determine what to run to get a basket.
I'm curious if you, when he's coaching
Mm.
and if you saw things differently as a player as opposed to when you were working with him, any little either quirks or something you didn't notice as a player that you saw as a graduate assistant when you're kind of working with them, any tendencies that he or Steve that they had that you never even noticed before you were working with them?
Honestly, that's something I didn't like. Not really, because just being around them, growing up with them, I can't. We were 3 years at
You're around so
Iowa.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 years at Iowa with Coach Alford. I want to say 6 at New Mexico, and then 3 more with my dad. So I was around it a lot. I've been through it.
Not too many surprises.
Yeah, not too many surprises. No.
Let me ask you again. I should have asked this earlier, but you got two little ones now.
Mhm.
What is Craig Neal, the grandfather, and Janet Neal, the grandmother? What is it like for them as grandparents, having a couple little ones now?
Oh, they love it. They're really they get down here as much as they can. Obviously, my dad, that's a little harder, but my mom tries to fly down as much as she can. They're great with the kids. They spoil them probably a little too much for our liking, but I mean that's what it comes with being a grandparent.
Yeah, that's the job. That's their job. I imagine nobody could say the Neals didn't weren't an emotional bunch and wore their emotions on their sleeve and let everybody know it. So I imagine when it comes to grandkids, they spoil them like crazy and love them like crazy. I'll bet you FaceTime,
All
plenty
the
of FaceTime
all the
minutes with the
time.
little ones.
Yep, all the time. I will say I have not seen my dad cry very often. That was both cases, both times. So that's interesting to see. So yeah, they're great grandparents. They're just so loving to both our kids.
That's awesome to hear, man. And again, I'm curious, how often do you get back to Albuquerque ever? Have you
So
been able
hard.
to?
It's so hard. I can't remember the last time I took Lauren through Albuquerque. I want to say that was when I was still playing. So four. So that was I want to say 18, 19, 19, 20. I've been telling my
Okay.
friends I'm going to get back. Oh, actually, that's not true. I went to my friend Chris Brazier's wedding a couple years ago, and yeah. So I
Oh,
did.
there we go.
Yeah, I did get San Diego Resort. It was nice. Nice to see everybody. It was a good little reunion.
Very cool. Cullen, man, this has been fun. A little walk down memory lane. A lot of Lobo fans, obviously. Um, I imagine a lot of fans, basketball fans here, especially with a little time removed, have nothing but fond memories of your basketball journey that came through for a decade. Really came through Albuquerque,
Mhm.
both with high school and at UNM. Your look back at Albuquerque. I know you already said nothing but positive. Any one or two memories that just sort of stand out from a basketball perspective about your Albuquerque time?
Basketball wise, two things: state championship my junior year with all my friends, and then obviously the
Who'd you
Mountain
beat?
West. We beat La Cueva. We did beat La Cueva. And second one was winning a Mountain West championship with my first year with my dad. I mean, not many people can say that as well. So that was a great experience.
All right, when you guys cut down nets and stuff like that, and you guys all have the little string, do you still have yours,
I do. I have my hat and my
or did you
string.
lose it somewhere along the way?
Yeah, I have my hat, I have my string, I have my ring all together in my bedroom. So they're like all right next to each other. Yep.
How often do you show it off to your wife, and how old do your kids have to get before you start showing them?
And probably 4 or 5 when they maybe they'll understand then. I'm still this is parenthood. I'm still learning. This stuff's hard. Being a dad, being a dad's hard, but I'm very fortunate. But yeah, I still when my wife starts to talk a little crazy about the basketball journey, I make sure she knows. Make sure she knows.
Yeah, I'm 14 years into the parenthood thing myself, and at a very, I'm obviously much older and in different stage than you are, but I'm 14 years into my parenthood journey, and I don't have a clue what I'm doing yet. So, so good luck, man. I'm still not ready to be a parent, but I got 2 of them now myself.
That's
So,
awesome.
um,
Congratulations.
nobody ever prepares us to be a parent, and then even when you become one, nobody really ever masters it, I
Oh,
don't think. But it's a fun journey, man, and I'm glad you're on it, and I'm glad to hear. It sounds like you're happy being on that journey.
no, absolutely. It's two of the best things that could ever happen to me and my wife and family.
You letting your kids get? Are you letting your kids get into basketball?
Oh, my son loves it. It's probably my
All
fault.
right.
It's probably my fault, but my son loves it. My daughter's still a little young to figure it out, but yeah, my son loves it. It's all he does when he comes home. Starts straight to the basketball hoop.
Tell me again, how old's your son?
He's 2. He's 2.
Okay,
Yeah,
so he's 2 and he's going right to the hoop
right
already.
to it already. Yeah, doesn't stop. Right before bed, he says, "No, I'm shooting." He's gotten to that point now, so it's hard to convince him to go to the bath if he's got a basketball in his hand.
So all right. So all the stuff you learned from Randy Bennett and maybe even AK, you said with Coach Kendi, you're still not teaching him any defense at 2. It's still all offense,
Oh,
right?
it's still offense, 100%. He can learn that a little later. Yeah, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Cullen, I appreciate it. Good luck this week. Good luck this season. Good luck on whatever's next with the coaching career. I know you guys put in hours. I don't think people realize, especially a video coordinator. I'm guessing you're putting in a lot of hours in your role right now. So being a parent of 2 and a husband and putting in those hours has got to be kind of crazy. So good luck. I hope you get to enjoy Thanksgiving. What's your go-to Thanksgiving uh, side dish or food?
I like yams. I like yams.
Yams? You're a yams guy,
Yeah,
huh?
yams guy. Yeah, I know it's probably not
I don't know if
everyone else's favorite, but I like yams.
I don't know. Well, I imagine they'll have something for you for the teams, some sort of spread for you guys this week. But I can't imagine hotel Thanksgiving is going to be quite like some home cooking. But I imagine they'll have something for you guys in Vegas.
Nah, I'm gonna celebrate Saturday with my family as well, so it'll be good.
Are you going to be able to see mom and dad?
Yes, I'll see them.
Very cool. So are they going to be then? Is your wife and kids? Are they going to be able? Are you guys all going to be together this Saturday?
N-
Or are they back home in
They're back.
what, Houston? Right?
They're back home, but I'll see my mom pretty soon. She's gonna
Okay.
come. Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Colin. Well, hey, man, I appreciate it. This has been awesome. I hope a lot of Lobo fans enjoy this. I think they will. I think a lot of people still have fond memories of the Cullen Neal experience in Albuquerque, and I'm glad you were willing to come on and talk about it a little bit. And good luck this season, man.
No, thank you so much for having me. It was a great time. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Fun conversation with Cullen Neal. Very much appreciate Cullen for taking the time. His week, he's already in Las Vegas or in Henderson for this week's Ball Dawgs Classic. Very much appreciate him for not only taking the time to do this podcast, but just to really kind of go down memory lane a little bit on what at times was a very difficult time for him and his family as a former Lobo basketball player. But I, as he said, he has no ill feelings towards his time in Albuquerque. He has fond memories. This is still where many of his best friends. This is still where he graduated high school. This is still part of his home and part of his fond memories of his basketball journey. So now that he's coaching, it was fun talking to him a little bit about what he's taken from every coach he's worked for or played for, and fun hearing a little bit about what the life as a father and a husband, and how his parents. Craig and Janet Neal are spoiling more than he likes his 2 little ones. So all that's fun to hear. I look forward to seeing Cullen out in Las Vegas this week at the Ball Dawgs Classic. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you guys enjoy all the podcasts here as part of the Albuquerque Journal Podcast Network, as well as all our coverage on abqjournal.com. Hope you subscribe to the Albuquerque Journal and keep supporting local journalism so we can do more of these shows. We do more of our coverage in print and online, and just keep bringing you the stories and the coverage that you enjoy. So hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, thanks for listening.